What's up, people? I'm back again, and this time I'm going to be doing yet another video of the last University of Hawaii men's basketball game at home, and it was against the winless CSUN Matadors. And I'll go ahead and say right now that the University of Hawaii did come through with the win, but it did not come easy. The final score was 58-51 with UH in front. And by the way, just so you know, this video will officially mark my 6,000th video on this channel. So I got a ways to go before I make it to 7,000 videos. But normally, back in the day, I would have done a special with a Three Strikes game of The Price is Right and a few other games. But this time, I'm not holding polls anymore because my interest in game shows has considerably waned, and I am trying to get myself out to the workforce in Hawaii sports. And I decided to do so with the University of Hawaii men's basketball team in the 2022-23 season. And as I said earlier, UH came through with the win 58-51 over the winless CSUN Matadors, and it did not come easy. So before we get into this, I just want to say subscribe if you haven't. I don't have my channel monetized for videos yet, but I'm hoping to sometime down the line. And more subscribers I get, it'll help the algorithm, as Cooksey says on his videos. But of course, I'm just quoting him. I'm not taking out and not outright stealing anything that he does, because he does an entirely different stuff with Monster Energy Supercross, another sport that I follow since '97. But anyway, let's talk about the CSUN UH game at home, shall we? Okay, CSUN versus UH. That was a battle, let me tell you. And that featured a good first half by Hawaii and a not so good second half by the home team. Now, what happened during that first half was a microcosm of good fortunes, because UH only trailed for 11 seconds in that entire game. And in that first half, they did pretty well in terms of shooting. They went 14 of 28, or 50%, with 3 triples converted out of 8. And once again, UH was perfect from the free throw line. Granted, it was only 2 free throws. And, of course, CSUN was also perfect from the free throw line in the first half, and they took only 3. But CSUN was held to only 6 field goals, including 2 triples. And unfortunately, the shoe wound up on the other foot in the second half, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But as for CSUN, Deontay Bostic led the way. He had 21 points. The next closest was De'Ron Tucker with 35 is his number. He had 10 points. I meant to say 10. Okay. Now, that team, CSUN, they definitely scrap and claw, and they're a little bit like us, except they just can't seem to find a way to get the win. But in the first half, UH did extremely well, and they jumped out to a 10-0 run right away when it was 3-2, and then they scored 10 unanswered. And then, as a result, UH would end up building a big lead at the end of the first half. It was 33-17, nearly double what they had, nearly double on CSUN. And of course, I also want to point out that, as you may have seen already, I did get some B-roll on my phone that I took all myself. I've also uploaded some of my shots that I took to my YouTube channel. So I also want to thank you all for checking them out, for checking out the videos I shot, and you'll be seeing them in this video as well. That first half was really good. As I said, they shot 50%. They had 14 field goals to CSUN's 6. But they did end the first half on a bit of a downer when Kamaka Hepa got that foul at arguably the last second. And that resulted in 2 free throws. And unfortunately, that was a sign of bad things to come because they could have took they could have took a lead that was over double CSUN had, but they sank both free throws at the end. And as a result, we ended up taking a 16-point lead instead of an 18-point lead. And I say that because UH found themselves in some trouble because early on they built a 19-point lead in that second half, but then they went completely cold. And as a result, in that second half, they were held to just 5 field goals, including 2 triples in that second half. And CSUN, they won that second half by 9. And as a result, we did end the game on a 6-0 run. But it seemed like there were a lot of times where UH had the rug pulled out from under them, including this slight scuffle that I caught here, as you can see. Now you're seeing it right now. As you can see, Noel Coleman had possession of the ball, but then apparently something kind of irked him, and as a result, it turned into that scuffle. And at the end of it all, that turned out to be a double whammy for the University of Hawaii because the refs decided to not call anything on them when really, from my view, there should certainly have been a technical foul on a CSUN player. That's just my take. But the fact that the refs just did not call anything is another example of them proving that they don't know jack. I'm not going to lie to you. And that kind of messed with UH's momentum. But the good part about this is UH never trailed at all in that second half, despite the fact that CSUN got within 1 point on a few occasions. And fortunately, the University of Hawaii did respond with timely field goals. And although they only had 5 field goals, they were, as I said, they were timely. But what really, really hurt them is the fact that they didn't have much of a bench. The only problem, that was basically the only problem because Justice Jackson wasn't available. Harry Ruliadev wasn't available, even though he was in uniform. The only 2 guys that really came in off the bench were Morsek and Beon Riley. And the only one who scored off the bench for UH was Beon Riley. Granted, he only had 1 free throw. And unfortunately, CSUN ended up winning the battle for bench points. But granted, that was kind of pathetic. Bench points, UH had only 1, CSUN had just 3. So we kind of lucked out there. But still a crappy bench that normally would lead to some troubles, and it did. However, the University of Hawaii did do okay on turnovers. They ended up with 11, but CSUN did better with only 8. And they had 7 turnovers in the first half, and then double whammy UH with only 1, even though UH got 4 turnovers. They did pretty well, but still, overall, I still think that CSUN got too lucky that they never got a technical when they really should have after that little scuffle that you just seen. And of course, but still, obviously, head coach Iran Ganot was not pleased with they're pleased with the win, not pleased with the effort. And I share the same viewpoint as he does, because there was a time where I really thought that UH is going to cough up a nearly 20-point lead. But fortunately, they responded well, and they ended the game on a 6-0 run. But once CSUN got to 51 points, they did not score again for the final 3 or 4 minutes. I think it was 3 minutes. But really, University of Hawaii, they're going to have to do a lot better, and they're going to have to hope to get their bench back. But the talk is that Justice Jackson will be ready to go for the road trip, and that's going to be UH's toughest road trip of all, let me tell you. As you can see right here, these are their two opponents, UC Irvine and UC Riverside, who currently leads the conference at 6-1. Now, we are currently in a tie for second place at the moment. And we're definitely going to have to come through with a split at least. Do I think we can come through with 2 wins? I'm leaning towards no, because obviously against Riverside and Irvine is a damn good team. Riverside is really good too, but they're a good defensive team. They must have somebody on Riverside, that is. They must have somebody on the roster who's really generating a lot of points. And if we can get our bench back, we stand a good chance. But which one do I think that we're going to get the win over? I hate to say this, but it looks like our best chance of winning a game on the road. I think the odds are leaning more towards UC Irvine. And we all know what happened the last time. Last year, when UC Irvine came here, we double whammy. We ended up winning that one in a blowout, and we double whammied them with a turnover-free second half. But when we went to their place, we ended up losing by 25. And if we can clean some of that up, and of course in that road game, we ended up losing Noel Coleman to a fractured orbital socket, and that ended his season. So obviously we got a tough road trip coming up. But anyway, as for the CSUN game, what kind of grade would I give them? I'm probably going to have to give them between a C plus and a B minus, because they almost coughed up a lead. They almost coughed up a near 20-point lead. And I think if they played the same way that they did in the first half, they could have won that one going away. But when CSUN went on that big rally, they went on a 13-0 run to start the first half, or to start the second half, and UH had found themselves in a lot of trouble. But still, everybody in white for the University of Hawaii did their part for sure. Because Noel Coleman, there's not much else you can say about him. He had 14, but they were definitely no match for Deontay Bostic on CSUN, because he was making pretty much everything. He had 21 points. He had 5 rebounds. But De'Ron Tucker, Deshaun Allen Ikens, they had a team-high 8 rebounds. But fortunately, we won the rebounding battle 40-32. And obviously, we're going to have to do a lot better there. But fortunately, we got some help from and the starters had to really work overtime with not much of a bench out there. But 2 guys that I thought really came up clutch were Samuta Avea and Bernardo da Silva. Both ended up with double-doubles. Avea had 10 points, 11 rebounds. Bernardo da Silva, 11 points and 12 boards, and that's a team high. And obviously Noel Coleman and Jovan McClanahan were a perfect at the free throw line. Coleman went 5 for 5, McClanahan 4 for 4. But an honorable mention should go to Morsek as well, because although he didn't score at all, he did provide a couple of rebounds and a possession and a way to get a possession to UH. And that's a stat that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. I don't think I got that on film. But what happened was he ended up trying to save the ball, and I think he threw it into somebody's hip on CSUN, and as a result, it went off of CSUN, and that's how UH got the possession. And that's a step, and that's plays that don't show on the stat sheet. And honorable mention also goes to Cody Williams. He played 7 minutes. He got a rebound. But I still think that he is learning the ropes. And before you know it, he'll be a lot more seasoned next year. But I'm really really hoping that Justice Jackson will be back, because Justice is because when you count the Long Beach State game, which we won, we didn't really have much of a bench there. And that meant that the starters really had to work overtime, as I said earlier. But Justice Jackson is a guy who would have made a big difference, because he's a guy who can certainly break that press that both the Beach and CSUN put on the University of Hawaii to get them to be out of sorts. But fortunately, we came through with 2 wins at home, and it was very important. And if we didn't win that CSUN game, we definitely would have been made to look extremely silly, because CSUN is winless in the conference. They're now 0-7. And if we didn't come through with the win there against CSUN, like I said, we would have been made to look extremely silly. I'm going to say that right now. But fortunately, I'm glad we did. And once again, you're going to see some more of my B-roll as I wrap up this video. And we do face off against UC Irvine on Thursday, January 19th. And we face off against Riverside on Saturday, the 21st. That's an 11 a.m. start here, anyway. So once again, final score was 58-51 with UH in front. What kind of grade would I give them for that game? Between a C+ and a B-. Although, quite frankly, I probably would have leaned towards a C+, but because they were able to pull out the win, I'm giving them a B- for sure. I think they could have played a lot better in that second half, and had they made a lot more of their field goals, they probably would have won this one going away. But again, that's because of the lack of the bench. Now, the word is that Justice Jackson will be ready to go on the road at UC Irvine. So I'm hoping we'll see him there. So good luck to the basketball team on the road. I hope we can come through with at least a split. 2 wins would be best, but I'll settle for a split. So anyway, as I said, you're going to see some more of my B-roll before I wrap up this video. And I'll see you all soon. I might do a live stream like I did on the road games and a couple of the home games that I didn't attend, one of which was a personal matter. The other, I tested positive for COVID on New Year's Eve, and that was the Cal Poly game. But anyway, I'll see you all then. And that's it for today. So thank you all for watching, and Wama Pono, everyone.
Let's get